That's all. Tom Hitchcock here. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I'm really honored.
I'm looking forward to this conversation. Where are you sitting right now? Where in the world are you?
Good question. Me myself is born in South Korea, Seoul. However, I've been living in China for 8 years. I'm living closely to Shanghai because I'm not. My city is called Haining, but I'm gonna tell people because everyone knows Shanghai, so it's like 1 hour away, train away from Shanghai. Yeah, I've been living here
Okay.
for 8 years.
And how's I'm interested because because of Western media, okay, we all know Europe, we all know America, we know where things are. But when it comes to China, for example, I've got a very basic idea and place, outside of Shanghai, Beijing, and so forth. It means nothing to me, you know. Um, how is that for you from where you're at going to China? So you say from South Korea, yes?
Yes, yes.
And how is it for someone from South Korea being in China? Is it also unfamiliar to you when you first went there, or
Yeah, definitely. Like it's also the same, like, geopolitical reasons as well as China has its own media separate from the outside world. So when I was actually in Korea, I also had this kind of like negative images about China, like Chinese are like noisy and dirty and right. But when I first came to China, it was because of the exchange studies. And at that time, I was studying international studies and China studies. So China was destination for me to do an exchange studies. I had no choice. But once I landed here, I was like, this is my place. This is my place to be. And since then, I'm here. So the feeling that I got from China that was so different from the media outside of the world was that first of all, Chinese people are very open and curious, which aligned with who I am. So I felt so much free soul compared to when I was in South Korea, which I felt more restrained and I had to behave in a certain ways. So that freedom I certainly felt. Also, the cultural wise, it has rich culture and history. But to be honest, right now thinking back 8 years ago when I first came to China, and this is my place. Now I'm thinking it's not that I fall in love with China, but I think I just fall in love with the fact that I'm outside of South Korea.
so you've done your time in South Korea anywhere would be an improvement for you temporarily at
Yeah,
least.
yeah. If it was Australia, I was like, this is my place.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, but what was the aha moment for you when you went to China? Because this is curious to me, so I'm interested. So, even if things have evolved and your perceptions changed slightly on it, when you first went to China it was different. It was different what you expected. Okay, and what have you? But what was the aha moment where actually this is my place?
Yeah, I love the question. Because that was definitely a aha moment. When I was living in Korea, I was taught that there is a certain ways to live. Like everyone was living in this kind of like linear way that you gotta study well so that you can go to the top university so that you can get a job and then so that you can meet a better person to marry or buy a house and save money and blah blah blah, right? And then once I landed China, people were beginning to saying like I see so many different ways of life and people are saying you gotta be a laoban, which is in Chinese it's a boss, right? You gotta be a boss once in your life. And that really hit me, right? Oh, like anybody can be a boss. I thought it was just for certain chosen people, right? Just smart people. And I thought that I won't be able to just dream for it. But now I'm actually a boss of my own company, even though it's a very small coaching consulting firm. Like I really reach that the dream that I never thought is possible. So China really, that was a aha moment that expanded my possibilities.
So it sounds to me like you realised that you could take the shackles off. There was more than one
Yeah.
way of doing things, and
Mhm.
it sort of like expanded your horizons somewhat.
Yeah, definitely.
And you found the Chinese community there. They welcomed you from a different community.
Yes, basically Chinese are very curious and open to learn, and they're very sometimes like they're very like a business people, but first of all they're really curious. So if you're a foreigner visiting China, you might notice that Chinese people are looking at you, like literally looking at you.
Mhm.
Korean people won't gonna directly look at you. We're gonna look into you like this or like that, like as if pretend they're not looking. But Chinese people are gonna different look at you. For some people, might even take a photo, but that has nothing to do with like some being racist or like why is it there? It's literally out of curiosity, like wow, like different skin color or different language, and they're curious to really hear your stories, like why you're here, and they're willing to learn. So that really impressed me.
Okay, that's interesting. And when you went there, how were your language skills? What flavor of Chinese did you need to speak?
Well, definitely, I wasn't speaking a good Chinese language. I thought I was okay because I did study it on the book, right? But when I first arrived in Beijing, and then they have this kind of accent in Beijing, and when I read it, literally read out the dictionary, how can I get to this place? And then they began to answer me, and I couldn't understand a single word. So that was my basic survival level of Chinese language. But I quickly pick up because to be honest, like language, everything matters is environment. If you gotta survive, you learn quick. You have no other choice. So I began to really learn quickly. Within 6 months, I was able to have a fluent conversation with Chinese.
That's good. And that was Mandarin, or
Mandarin, yeah, Mandarin.
that's one to learn. And how different is that to your native language? For example, in Europe, a lot of the languages have a bit of a flavour to each other. There's a lot of Latin
Mm,
base. Italians, Portuguese, and Spanish can communicate well enough with each other, albeit they're three different languages. Is there some
mhm.
similarities as well?
Yeah, yeah. Like Korean language is also based on a Chinese character a long time before. We right now have our own Korean character, but we were based on the long time before Chinese character. So many words that Koreans are using has a similar accent of Chinese language. But one thing for sure it's different is that Chinese have their own character and they have this pinyin, which is a way to pronounce. So you gotta learn both the character itself and then the how to pronounce it, and they have a four different tonalities which Korean don't. So that is something that we're struggling. So sometimes there are similar pronunciation between Korean language and Chinese language, and I'm kind of experimenting using all different four different tonations so that they can kind of understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So in that kind of similarity, I do have some privilege learning Chinese easier than Western people from Western European countries, but still difficult, challenging.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And does that mean that you can read and write the Mandarin as well as communicate, as to verbalize?
Yeah, still reading is still the most challenging part. And writing, I can write using like these keyboards, not exactly the Chinese character itself. It's like drawing a picture, right?
No, it's fascinating. Okay, well, listen, for me, those are massive changes, and it's an eye opener into maybe a culture I do not know enough about. So I think some of the listeners will take quite a bit of from you, and maybe challenge some of their perceptions of China from outside in. Okay, how it's reported in the news and what have you, and even maybe how some Chinese people can be abroad as well, because everyone's a little bit different when they're away from home. You know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you've been there for a few years now, you said, yes?
Hmm.
Okay. All right. And you've successfully set up a business. Tell me about it.
Well, so right now I'm owning a coaching and consulting firm, right? It's been only like 2 years, a very newbie here. Before then, I studied in China and then I got my job in China, right? I explored four different job positions in four different industries, like literally exploring my career itself. And I ended up choosing my lifelong career to be a coach because I myself was really lost in my life, And that's the actually the one of the reason why I left Korea, because I was actually having a really well paid and stable job in Korea. And everybody told me it's crazy that I quit that job and then coming to China and study masters like back to student. Like why, right? But that at that time I felt lost, and then I needed to explore myself a little bit. I knew that there's something else than what I was taught in Korea. So that's why I came to China, and then I explored all different job positions. And people also told me that you're lost because, like, why are you doing sales and marketing and now doing HR and now doing coaching? So all different job positions, but itself was, for me, I can call a self-discovery journey. And at the end of the journey, I truly kind of have an understanding about what the kind of career meant for me, as well as it can be meant for other people, which is career is not a job position, it's not a company, but it's who you are becoming.
Mhm.
So that I wanted to deliver that, share that message to a lot of people, and also help those to navigate those other people who's also feeling the same loss, feeling like me back then. I want to help them to go through their own self-discovery journey. That's why I chose to be a coach right now.
It's interesting because in my observations of, I think people are getting a little bit more disconnected for who they are and what maybe their purpose is and what they're good or bad at. Okay, and I think a lot of it has come from just the modern world with the overload of choices. Okay, because if we roll back generations and generations, the options were a lot more limited, and you picked the best one available, and people lived pretty healthy lives, with the options that happen. Now there's so many things and jobs that are being created because of technology, for example, and amalgamating. I think with the expectations you put on people and the amount of choices over there, then I feel that people just stall. They get stuck and they don't know where to turn. Um,
Yeah.
does that resonate with yourself and your experience at all?
So much resonate. Like I can't agree with you more. And plus a lot of choices, and the world is changing so much. And using all these like AI and digital technologies, we are so accustomed to getting instant results and instant answers, right? So when people, for me, I really congratulate those people who they're feeling lost, because that is actually the moment when you can actually pause and you look into your inner self and be true to yourself. However, people find it to be very scared because they're not accustomed to this like lost feeling, because like where's the answer? Like where's the right way to pursue the career, like right? So they find it to be very difficult to navigate that lost feeling, and they're just autopilot, go back to the rat race that they'll find it to be accustomed to it, or the things that they shoots, all those shoots and have tools, they go back to that instead of try to look into their true self. And that is the journey that I'm encouraging people to just embark.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying that the moment of being lost is a good thing because that's the causation of change. But is it fair to say you go as far as to endorse cultivating being lost to then find yourself?
Yes, I think that is something needed. We all need it, and that's the reason why I also explored myself, my inner self, by intentionally being lost from the outsider world. So I joined this 10-day Vipassana retreat, which for 10 days you meditate 10 hours a day, 100 hours in 10 days, and you need to submit your phones and everything, and you get disconnected from all the information, all the options, outside noises. You can't read, you can't write journal, you just do meditation for 10 hours a day. And that was me putting myself intentionally into this lost environment where I lost myself from the external world, external noises, so that I can truly focus on what is going on inside and what do I truly want, to hear my voices, right? So that is something that everybody needs to go through it, instead of being afraid and then try to escape from that lost feeling and go back to what they're familiar with.
Okay. So this is curious. So I'm a fan of meditation. I should do it more than I do.
Awesome.
Um,
Great to
which
hear that.
It's obviously with a lot of people, it's a lot more mainstream now than it used to be. But it used to be a
Mhm.
bit airy fairy, if you like, and people didn't have time for this sort of thing. But it's coming a little bit more routine. People are accepting it nowadays. But what you're talking about is quite significant. So the thought of spending 10 days away from their commitments, whether it be their business, their job, their family, their friends, their responsibilities, would give them a panic attack in itself, you know. So
Yeah.
I think it sounds like a big commitment, but I've got a funny feeling that the 10 days itself would feel a lot longer than
Yeah, definitely. So I'm not saying that everyone should do this 10-day retreat. Like there's always a small steps that you can take to do a mindfulness practice, which is like basically listening to yourself, journaling. It doesn't have to be always like into meditation to listen to yourself, literally having a conversation or, like build a rapport to yourself first, build a relationship with yourself first. And I'm not telling that everybody needs to do the Vipassana. 10 days is surely a huge commitment, and because of my settings that I'm not involved into any full-time job and I'm owning my own business, I was able to really commit myself to the 10-day, which gave me a profound experience. But what I want to really say is that you can't expect some change in your life without changing some things in your life. You know what I mean? Like people want something different, they want some change, but they don't want to change anything, that they don't want to let go of the things that they already have to welcome the new things, which for me sounds like very unrealistic.
and it's true. It's the relationship we have with change isn't one. It's the things that people want but not willing to do, and it does make up masses, and that's why change doesn't happen for many people unless it's forced on them. It's external. COVID was a big one that created a lot of change for a lot of people,
Yep.
and they weren't used to this, and it caused a lot of problems. But I was listening. I want like your thoughts on this. So we'll talk about mindfulness. Okay, so mindfulness goes hand in hand with meditation. It's like a horse and carriage, if you like. But mindfulness is a lot more simple than that. And if we detach it from meditation, we actually realise its commonality. Okay, and I was listening to a British comedian, who was talking about this recently, and they said, um, you know, we all used to be a lot more mindful than we are today. And his explanation for this was that when he was arranging to meet friends and he was sitting in a bar, maybe, for example, he had no mobile phone. There was no other distractions. Okay. And his friends are late,
Mhm.
maybe they're half hour late. Okay.
Mhm.
He's only got himself for company. So he'd sit there and would occupy our mind with our thoughts, would sit there, whatever emotions are there at the time. If you're nervous, if you're upset, if you're anxious, you'd sit in that emotion and process it, and you'd daydream, and then they pop up. Oh, hi Dave, how are you? Okay, so all these moments, because we didn't have mobile phones giving us that no one's here, I better go and scroll or like or
Mm.
browse or buy. Okay, we didn't have that external, the instant stimulus. Okay, we were forced to be mindful constantly, and that's been taken from us now. Okay, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, surely there happen to be more distractions than before right now because everything is so available to us. Like we lack nothing, but we're so living in this abundant world, right? And I appreciate that, right? I appreciate the technologies, appreciate all these quick things that I can enjoy and all the services and everything. But simply in this like busy changing moments, I think mindfulness literally connecting with yourself as well as what's really going around you at the moment without you being in the future or in the past, but literally being in the present, right? So what meditation comes hand in hand with the mindfulness practice, because we literally sit down and we put away our phone, we close our eyes, we try to minimize all the kind of stimulus from outside so that we can focus on what's actually going on in our body and our sensations and our emotions, right? So same we all can do without meditation without doing meditation or closing our eyes, but literally when you're chatting with your friends, put your phone down, or don't even put it on the table, because when you see it you want to touch it, right? But put away completely in the bag, or even sorry, even these days, in Korea there is this famous product that is going viral, which is a little cabinet where you can put your phone and set a timer, so that within a certain time you can't access to it, so that you can really have a family time together. So there are many ways that we can, many technologies that we can also use to keep ourselves mindful what's going
Yeah,
on. Yeah.
I love that because we are a little bit tracked by a mobile phone and the algorithms behind it by each of the vendors to grab our attention, if you like. No, I do appreciate that. And let's just say, so I could talk about this for a while, by the way, but I'm being mindful of time. Your ideal customer, okay? So someone crosses your path, they like the idea of your coaching. Would your ideal customer be someone that's had their lost moment already? They're already there, they're in that space, or or not, basically.
Well, that's very good question. Many of the people who come to me, they're saying they're lost. So that's quite normal. However, I'm also really glad that there are some people who are aware of this mindfulness, and who are aware of that there gotta be something else even before they feel they're lost. So they usually also come to me and say, hey, I need to change, I need some transition in my life, but I don't know where to start, so that's why I came to find you, right? That's more and more proactiveness of the lost. Some people, I also do the outplacement coaching, which are people who got laid off and then they are also seeking for career transition, though there are some unfortunate situation, they become lost and then they wanted to find their own ways. Either or, I really welcome them, because this is a really great opportunity that you're in, even though outside looking is a tragic situation, but inside it's a really beautiful stage, beautiful space that you're in, that you can actually ask yourself some questions. So yeah, those are my clients. Usually they're around the work like 5 to 6 years, or under 10 years of working experience, around 30s, in the age of 30s, that they did experience some of their life and then they feel like there's something else out there. Yeah, those are the ones that I really work with most of the times.
Okay, and most of these people, they're in China, or you deal with clients worldwide?
Worldwide, right? Korean people, Chinese people, foreign folks in China, outside of China. But mostly, I've been also working with Korean people in Korea, or foreign people in China or outside of China, and also a few Chinese local people as well.
Okay, so if any of these people are listening to this now and they think, actually, you know what, I love what Dasol's talking about, I want to have that conversation, it resonates, it's the right time to have that conversation, how would they make contact with you?
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my main platform and the only platform where you can find Dazzle dash Lily dash Kim, and you'll be able to find me. I'm also having this Lost to Be Found newsletter where you can subscribe from the LinkedIn. So just feel free to contact me on LinkedIn.
Okay, brilliant. And my final two questions then. Okay, how do I say thank you in Mandarin?
谢谢.
Shishi,
Yeah, 谢谢. XIE. So 谢谢.
shishi.
Yeah, awesome. Brilliant.
And
Welcome to China.
and South Korean?
감사합니다.
Oh, blimey. Say again.
Okay. 감사합니다.
Kamsa, Kamida. Kamsa, Kamida.
합니다. H.
Hamida.
합.
Kamsa, Hamida.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Brilliant.
There we are. I said thank you in both your languages and English as well. So that's a wrap from me. So thank you very much for your time. I think it's some good insights, and I've enjoyed that conversation.
Same here. Really look forward to our another conversation. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Thank you for watching this episode. I hope that you did enjoy it, had lots of takeaways from it. As before, please subscribe below so you can keep on top of any new releases we have. And also, if you would like to have your story told, just reach out with me and I'd love to give you that platform. My best email address is tom@purplepatchconsulting.com. Thank you.